Now we are going to discuss evaluation as an instrument for improving adult learning course. The Council of Europe underlines in its recommendations in 2012 that the right to education can be only fully exercised if the education is of adequate quality. Ensuring that everyone can benefit from a quality education is a matter of individual justice as well as the best possible use of resources of our societies. In order to make education more qualified, adult educators use evaluation. What is it? A process of passing judgment on the basis of defined criteria and evidence is called evaluation. Educators use the term to identify the process of determining the strengths or value of the work. It is a way of measuring the results of educational activities, and the different kinds of evaluation, we are going to speak about them later, may be classified according to the degree of their formality or precision. But first, why it is needed? First of all, governments have felt the increasing need to demonstrate that program expenditures on education and training are effective in producing their projected results and are also a good use of the resources provided. Then it is important as clearly as possible to demonstrate the skills required for participants to be successful in their occupation or chosen field of employment or activity. Fostering a culture of continuous program involvement, that is also a very important point. Evaluation makes possible to ensure stakeholders that the institution is being constantly improved and increase participant mobility. On the basis of evaluation are the following principles. First, evaluation should be fundamental truth that serves as the foundation for a system of belief and behavior. It should have a definite purpose. Evaluation should be made only to meet some definite purposes. They should not be conducted only because it is a thing to do. Use of definite and attainable objectives. The adult educator states these objectives in such a way that he or she can tell by the use of instruments of evaluation how near members of the class has been to reach the desired goals when the course is finishing. Evidence. Evaluation is concerned with getting evidence as the degree of changes have taken place in people. The important thing is to measure how far the people move from where they were at the beginning to where they are when the learning program is ending. Use different instruments in evaluation. The adult educator can select appropriate instruments for measuring the things which he or she wishes to evaluate. His or her choice of particular instruments will be determined by the educational outcome to be evaluated. Evaluation should be continuous, as said before. It should be a continuous process. The same objectives may be evaluated every time a course is offered. There are several models and approaches as well to evaluate adult education courses. The most popular among them is the model by Donald Kirkpatrick. The 4 levels of Kirkpatrick's evaluation model essentially measure reaction of trainees, so what they thought and felt about the training, learning, the resulting increase in knowledge and capacity, behavior, extent of behavioral and capability improvement and implementation or application. Results, the effects of the business or environmental resulting from the trainees' performance. I have to mention that some languages, and mine is also, don't have a special word for evaluation. The principle of economy in language leads to the fact that both concepts, evaluation and assessment, are mixed. To operate them correctly, you need to understand what their difference is. So, assessment is defined as a process of appraising something or someone, the act of measurement, the quality, value or importance. Evaluation focuses on making a judgment about values, numbers or performance or something or somewhere or someone. Assessment is made to identify the level of performance of an individual, whereas evaluation is performed to determine the degree to which goals are attained. The basic difference between assessment and evaluation lies in the orientation, which means while the assessment is process-oriented, evaluation is product-oriented. Evaluation is a way of measuring the results of educational activities, and the different kinds of evaluation may be classified according to the degree of their formality and precision. The division is usually made on 3 levels. First is informal evaluation, is less precise. Some of the sources of information for informal evaluation are observation of the work done by learners, giving informal tests, talking to the learners outside, for example, with a cup of coffee. The second level is semi-formal evaluation, and this is the more systematic and reliable types of evaluation. Much of the evidence in semi-formal evaluation comes from these sources: surveys and judgment of experts. And the third is formal evaluation. Formal evaluation is a type of scientific research in which all the relevant facts are gathered and controlled by means of statistical procedures. The kind of evaluation usually requires considerable time and much training in the methods of research with the aid of specialists. Evaluators often talk about 2 different types of evaluations: formative and summative. A formative evaluation is usually conducted in the early stages of the program and addresses questions about implementation and ongoing planning. Summative evaluation assesses program outcomes and impacts. To determine the relationship of different factors to outcomes, some information used in summative evaluation provide evidence for cause and effect relationship. They assess long-term effects and provide data on impacts. Quantitative data provide information that can be counted to answer such question: how many, who was involved, what were the outcomes, and how much did it cost. Quantitative data can be collected by surveys or questionnaires, pre-tests and post-tests, observation or review of existing documents and databases, or by gathering data. Quantitative data measures the depth and breadth of the implementation. The limitations of using these data for evaluation can include poor response rates from surveys, difficulty obtaining documents. This approach does not provide an understanding of the program context and may not explain complex issues. Qualitative methods data answers such questions as: what is the value added? Qualitative data are collected through direct or participant observations, interviews, focus groups, case studies, and from written documents. Analysis of these data include examining, comparing, interpreting patterns. Observations may help explain behaviors as well as social context and meanings, because the evaluator sees what is actually happening. The limitation of these data for evaluation may include the difficulty and complexity of data analysis and interpretation. Phases of evaluation. The procedure for evaluating in adult education may be divided into following steps. First, check the objectives. The first step is to examine the objectives of the activity which is to be evaluated. The second, examine what was done to reach the objective. So this step is important when it is an attempt made to evaluate methods of teaching or the course content. The third is to collect the evidence. Information is essential to the evaluation of programs, methods, and results in the field of adult education. Evidence should be gathered at the three different stages: before the activity has begun, while activity is in progress, and at the end of the activity. The evidence gathered during the project should show the extent on the changes made in the students or the degree to which the predetermined objectives were realized. Sources of evidence and devices for getting evidence. People taught are the most important source of information. If the number of people from whom information is to be gathered is not large, it is best to contact all of them. Some of the common devices are questionnaire, checklist, interview, etc. The fifth, analysis of evidence. So in weighting the facts, coming to conclusion and decisions, evaluator has to avoid prejudice and to analyze them without any bias. So the sixth is use of findings. Findings should be used to improve the adult education program in every way that is possible. The findings could be used for program planning, corrections them, methods adding or changing, talks and discussions at community meetings or community level, educational magazines, include them in the annual report. Even with the best planning and preparation, organization and content depth, there is no guarantee that neither the plan will work or that the learning experience will achieve the goal. Adult students do not always engage or respond in the ways that we had anticipated. In this respect, lesson or educational activity evaluation plays a significant role. Lesson observation is carried out in various ways. It could be carried out by the institution or takes place at least once a year. The person doing the observation is usually of a higher grade than the teacher. There are a lot of standard forms provided by management and they are considered a vital tool for quality assurance. Teachers are given a grade and there is feedback, and if necessary the lesson observation is repeated in order to give teacher a chance to improve. In some countries, observations are carried out by specially trained teachers, and feedback is an essential part of the process. These observations point out what must be improved in the teacher's performance, as well as what they are doing well. There are several forms of lessons evaluation. Initial lesson observation, which I like most of all. In some cases, it is considered advisable for new teachers at the beginning of the academic year to observe lessons delivered by experienced teachers. The objective is observe good practice in methods and approaches to adult students. The initial lesson observation could be a part of teacher training. Peer observation, which is also very nice. The kind of observation offers an exchange of experience between two professionals. Both teachers attend each other's lesson and then exchange feedback on the lesson. Educational activity evaluation can be a part of evaluation forms that we discussed before: informal, semi-formal, or a formal evaluation. The methods which can be used for evaluation in adult education are, as mentioned before, observation. It is an important technique of evaluation which depends on the ability of seeing, hearing, feeling, and noting. It is the most direct method of the collecting information of the observer, and as the observer tries to obtain data directly from the class or skills, attitude, and behavior of the person involved. Evaluators are required to observe objectively, without any bias, and record their observations immediately after the class. By observations, the evaluators can judge the improvement in skill, whether the learners are enjoying the program or not. Interview. Another method of collecting information is through interview. There are several types of interview: individual, group, structured, and unstructured. Before gathering information from learners, rapport is established with them so that they are able to express themselves freely and fully without any fear or shyness. While asking questions, we have to care about are they clear, simple, direct, short, and relevant to the subject. Questionnaire. Questionnaire is extensively used device with respondents. The word questionnaire refers to the series of questions, as we discussed before, which his respondent fills in himself. There are two types of questions: closed-ended and open-ended. The closed form requires the respondent to give answer only yes or no, or put a tick mark against one of the choices. The open-ended questions, on the other hand, give freedom to the individual to answer his or her own opinion in his or her own words. Evaluators can use both of types of questions while constructing a questionnaire. Conversational approach. Adult learners may not be able to respond to written questions or through written answers. Therefore, one may adopt simple conversational approach to assess the knowledge and attitudes of learners in a natural setting without making them aware that they are being evaluated. Participatory evaluation. In this technique, the evaluators are expected to refrain from taking an illiterate decision on the effectiveness of program, and individual may actively be involved in the process of evaluation. Both the evaluators and the participants may sit together and take stock of the situation. Each participant may be given freedom to say how he or she feels and express experience of the situation. Pre- and post-assessment. The most widely used evaluation design is traditional pre-post test, where participants are asked a series of questions both at the beginning of the program pre-test and then again at the program's completion post-test. The design is believed to measure changes in participants' knowledge, attitudes, or behaviors during the program content. Learning diaries. Learning diary is one of the instruments of the reflection of learning. It is useful to use the Graham-Gibbs reflective cycle for designing the structure of learning diary. Gibbs' model encouraged the use of critical reflection for people new to reflective practices. It is especially offers a good starting point for converting new learning, new knowledge into action and change. The stages of the model could be presented as follows: description, so what happened during the lesson; feelings, what were your reaction and feelings, evaluation, what was good or bad about the experience, value judgment, analysis, what sense can you make of the situation, what was really going on, and conclusions. What can be concluded about your own specifics, unique personal situation or way of working. One more method of evaluation is so-called competency balance sheet. The purpose of it is to report how the resources to run the operations were acquired. This tool can be used in several different ways to identify areas of strengths and areas that may need professional skill development, as well as formulating a development plan. The competencies are categorized into 5 critical domains: communication and relationship management, leadership, professionalism, knowledge and skills. After well-done education, after well-done evaluation, the next question comes: so what should we do with the gained information? First, celebrate the positives. The positive findings, success stories of the organization motivate people and make them more effective, more engaged and more happy. Then we have to make improvements. Evaluation findings could be used for improve existing services, to maximize the likelihood that outcomes will occur, ensure reaching the intended outputs, improve work with individuals, and review internal processes.